obviously you probably enjoyed watching that game from your team.
Yeah, it's always nerve-wracking until the end, especially when you're playing that well, and you know you deserve to win by virtue of that. So many good efforts. Obviously, a very good response, and we were able to do the work that was needed to get to our identity, and that was as big as the win for me. We've struggled to get to our identity early in the year here, and I thought we were willing to work, but we didn't work the right way. And tonight, perfect example. You can look at all three goals. The first goal, or the first and second goals, depending on who it was J.J. Peterka standing right in the crease. The other goal was Victor Olofsson standing right in the crease, on the offensive crease. And the third goal was Cousins' goal. He drove right to the crease, and the rebound was right there. So that was what we didn't have in our game the other night, and we haven't had that enough. And that little detail was so important for us to get to our game.
Do you like the way that how persistent the group was, just sticking to it? I mean, it wasn't until the 27th shot on goal, I think, you guys broke through, but you kept playing your game.
Yeah, the persistence is, I think, a credit to the entire group of I say, and I stand up here a lot, and I back our guys a lot because they're a very determined group. They care, and we bring things to their attention. They work to do it, and they knew tonight they needed to have a better game, and they knew exactly how they could have a better game, and they stayed on it the whole way. The payoff didn't come till late, but they stayed on it. So that's a great indicator of the determination they have.
You talked this morning even about wanting more energy. Just how much do you think the new combinations kind of help give that little kick to get their energy going?
Yeah, I think that was, it's easy to say it was a big help because the Thompson line was outstanding tonight. And obviously Middlestead, we all saw what he did on the first two goals. So yeah, we had familiar, I mentioned this morning, those lines weren't, we didn't put numbers in a blender and come up. Those lines had played together and helped us win down the stretch last year and really do or die situations. And so that we were familiar with those combinations as a coach and as coaches, I should say, and it was nice to go back to them and see the immediate benefit, their effect.
Sharp all night, just in tune. Just what stood out to you watching him, I guess?
Dialed in. That for me it was a very challenging game, much like his career. You got to be ready when you're called upon, and there's a lot of intervals where you're not called upon, and that was tonight's game. He had to make a few saves, and he made some saves that, if you watched him on video, they were a lot more difficult than they may have appeared. But he made him look easy with some traffic around him, and he didn't have a ton of action, but he was steady.
Obviously, Alex doesn't fight very often. What does that represent to you? That there's no hesitation, that he saw what almost happened with Jeff, and he just went right after him?
That to me, obviously, Tucker jumping in there and defensive skinny and seeing something he didn't like was awesome. It's, again, it shows that our guys were very, very dialed in tonight, and not to, I would imagine he'd do that any night, so I don't want to say that wouldn't be the case, but they were dialed in tonight.
How did Greenway help Cousins and Thompson make the impact that they did on the puck?
We talk a lot about playing simple, hard, and direct, and that exemplifies Jordan, and I think that Cousins played a game in that manner today. Simple, hard, direct, and that's what, when Greenway's on his game, that's a big guy moving in a straight line toward a net or toward not a forecheck. So I think that opened up a little bit more space for Tomer, and I think Cuzzy enjoyed that as well too.
You're 4 games in a row now without giving up a power play goal, and you're using different personnel from last year. Johnson wasn't here, but just how much more confident in general do guys seem when they go out there, no matter who you're using to kill?
Well, you've heard me mention a lot, even last season. Confidence is the foundation of a penalty kill, and if you don't have a good start to a season, you can lose it in second guess. And if you start second guessing yourself, it's really hard to get it back in the NHL in a season. So we had lots of time to reflect on it. We added Clifton, added Eric Johnson, that lightened the workload. We don't have to use Darlene as much there. And you got Greenway in there, and Thompson and Tuck have another year of experience and calm with that. So everybody's looked better to this point, and we'll continue to make it a greater emphasis as we do practices. You know, a year ago we had to practice on lots of different things 5-on-5. We were a very young team and a very inexperienced team, and you only have so much time to practice. And we needed to make sure our 5-on-5 game was in order. You know, this year it's you prioritize differently based on different needs and based on where you are, and we're a little bit more mature. And our 5-on-5 game needs a little less attention, and we've dedicated more to the penalty kill.
To see your defense jump in a little bit more tonight, and whether it was Samuelson jumping into the slot there or Rasmus jumping in to set up Cousins.
Yeah, you know
They
what?
want to look for maybe more opportunity.
We didn't, as an objective, have that. That should be an objective any night, but there was there was more opportunity tonight to do that because we drove this. You know, the simple visual for anybody watching is the second player over the line, the guy who's the most speed on entering his zone. Has got to drive the net. Got to drive and open and create space. And you'll see when passes are picked off on entry, you usually do not have a driver. And there were a couple instances tonight where we floated a pass across, but no one was driving the net, and it's an easy pickoff. We had a lot of those the other night. But when you do that and drive, the defenseman's open. The next layer coming in the zone and attacking in the zone is open, and so it wasn't the tactic that we needed was driving the net second guy. So that was better.
How much of a star play was Darlene jumping that pass on that third goal and getting it down the ice?
There were so many star plays for him. The hit that he had late. I mean, the subtleties of defending for him. You know, we all have an appreciation for his offensive skill, but how he takes time and space away from people is incredible. He's so competitive and he's so good defensively. Sure, when goals get scored on, the first guy you look at is the goalie, and the second guys you look at are the defensemen. But lots of times it's the forward's fault. So, but he was a beast again.
Tonight you guys were out hit 3-1. Obviously, that doesn't translate to the final score. But was there any nervousness in that on the bench? Did you see guys get rattled by that, or were they so focused on their own?
We've been tabbed a lot of well, we don't hit enough or we don't do this. But look at we out hit Calgary the other night. And by the stat sheet, and did it do us any good? So lots of times it's nice when other teams they're chasing hits. They're trying to get a hit. Well, they're losing all their momentum, and they're committed, and they're probably committed 200 feet away from their own net, and they got no inertia going back. So some of those are fine for us. We absorb them and roll off them, but lots of times. The team that has more hits is the team that didn't have the puck too, and I don't want to imply that was the case tonight, but that's lots of times that happens, and I think it happened on our side, by the way. On some games we weren't too sharp.